now really super excited to tell you about Chris, who happens to be our drummer. Now Chris, he's holding the camera right now, but we're gonna do a little switcheroo here. And he's going to give you a little demo on this weird thing called the Zen Drum. Now, how do I do this? I'm gonna flip this around and flip this around. Ooh, okay, stay with me. Hey, this is Chris, everyone. Oops,
hello.
How's that? Is that better?
There.
Okay. And Chris, what you got there?
This is a Zen Drum. It is a MIDI trigger interface. And Artrageous moved to this for drums for a number of reasons. One of the reasons being it's a whole lot smaller and a whole lot easier to set up than a full drum kit. And it will actually fit into the bus and into trucks really easy. But also, it's quite an exciting instrument. You can do a lot of things on it, a lot of unexpected things. And I am barely scratching the surface of this. It's made by a guy in Atlanta. He's been making them since the mid-'80s. So I'll just show you quickly what it's going through. So over here, so it's actually wireless, and it's wireless MIDI going into a wireless MIDI receiver, and then the transmitter is built right into the drum itself. So that's the receiver, and then the MIDI cable is going into a sound generator also made by the Zen Drum guys. It's called a stomp block. And then that has the actual sounds in it. This does not have any sounds in it. They're right in here.
Can the Facebook verse see you?
They can't see what I'm pointing to.
Oh gosh.
But they see a very nice background.
Wait, okay, so we gotta turn her around a little bit. Okay, now we're cooking with gas.
Okay, so we got this unit, which is the wireless, and then this, which is creating the sound, and then this is just a basic speaker, which is amplifying it. So the Zen Drum itself is, it's got a full drum kit programmed into it.
Okay, so what you're saying is that you could make any sound come out of that when you hit those buttons.
You could make any sound. You could play a keyboard. You could play motorcycle sounds. You could play bassoon, whatever you want. It is originally designed for drummers, and that's at least what my interest in it at the moment at least is. And you can switch sounds on the instrument itself, or you can switch it down there. Each one of these, what looks like buttons, is kind of just a trigger, just like on an electronic drum kit.
Okay, we're gonna get a little bit of a close-up here,
Okay.
because it is hard to see what they look like. Okay, yep.
So each one is set to a different sound, and each one is also what they call velocity sensitive, meaning you can hit it so if you hit it softer, it sounds softer. You hit it louder or stronger, it's got your standard setup in it in terms of kick, snare, toms, crash, ride cymbal, hi-hat. It's got a couple other nice bells and whistles for Artrageous in it, and claps. And it has some other sounds which are, I tend to put them down here.
Like conga drums almost.
Not stuff that you'd use every song, but on certain songs, especially originals, they're really wonderful. It has open hi-hat, and it also has this one sound, which is a bit of a cheat, but really nice to have. It's a snare drum that's already kind of rolling.
That's cool. Now it's weird because I've heard you play that like hundreds of times, but I never really like realized that each of those little guys is like something special.
Yeah, and some of them, so the guy who created it,
What's his name?
David. I call him David Zen.
That's not really his name.
That's not really his name, but that's what I call him. What he found is it's really helpful to actually group some of the instruments or some of the sounds together. So you've got a kick drum here, but you also have a kick drum here, and you also have one here. This one here, pretty much, I only play it when also hitting a cymbal. Because a drummer, started playing regular drums, but you pretty much know almost any time you hit a cymbal, you're hitting your kick drum at the same time. And so that is kind of like, okay, but there's certain things which organically a drummer feels, it just feels right to be hitting a kick and a cymbal at the same time. There's also certain times you play differently and you want things at different fingertips. That way. So there's a kick and a snare grouped right there, so you could play that way with the left hand, but there's also one here. So you could play that way as well.
How cool. Now tell me, what was the learning curve between a full kit and this?
It definitely has a learning curve. I would say to get onto the Artrageous stage, it was about 2 months. And the first few shows, you can actually hook up via these back here. You could hook up separate triggers. So for the first shows, I actually had a separate kick drum and a separate cymbal, and that worked really well. It's not that it's complicated, it's just the muscle memory.
Right.
Because as soon as you're on stage and the monitors and everything's going and you're playing a fast song that you're used to your whole body getting into and almost running in place, it's very odd to transfer that to your fingertips. And if you're getting too physical, you can really start trying to pull more sound out of it than it will permit. So,
now, I feel like you've had a lot of practice just tapping on things.
Oh, yes.
Just tapping your life away on so many different things.
Yes, I definitely was one of those kids tapping on pots, pans, the cat, anything.
Yeah.
Anything until they finally bought
Your
me bongos. And yes, and a kid. So one thing for any drummer out there that is pretty fun, having 2 kick drums at your fingertips. You can actually really get different sounds that you wouldn't normally get. So
play us a little ditty. So nice!
it's
Yay.
fun. Yes, and I can drive everybody crazy in soundcheck and the bus by just... Okay.
That
Thank you
was
very much.
amazing. Does anyone have any questions for Chris about his Zen drum? Currently, no questions. I'm going to pass
Okey-doke.
this back to you. I'm going to turn this around. Guys, thanks for joining us. We had so much fun with you today, and we hope that you're staying happy, healthy, and vibrant. Now, next week, we're going to come back to you. We're going to start on Monday, and we've got a super surprise in store for you that includes Jaden, our resident 15-year-old Artrageous. So be prepared. It's an Artrageous challenge. I think we should call it that, don't you? Yeah, an Artrageous challenge. So have a great weekend, and we'll see you Monday. Bye, guys.